Welcome and thank you for watching Midsub TV. So I'm just going to continue with my review of the BKFC 60 card, which took place last Saturday, which was April the 6th, and that's the BKF 60 out of Milton Keynes, the UK. I've already covered the 3 championship bouts that were on that card. Lily Tanagula, Christy Round and Fox against Shepherd. So if you haven't seen those, there will be cards appearing on the screen throughout this video, or you can just go and click on it. It should be there if you just go to my page. So I'm going to start at the bottom, work the way up on this one to see what happened further down the card there. First off, initially we had Kudrov against Moscatiello, and unfortunately Antonio Moscatiello, he had to pull out of this event for very genuine reasons there. He has developed a very serious autoimmune disease called sympathetic ophthalmia or sympathetic uveitis. This is a disease which attacks the eyes. It's developed after you take a trauma to the eye. If you can imagine all the different mechanics to your eye, there's very thin membranes in between all of these parts. If that is punctured or ruptured, and you have these two parts of the eye that have never seen each other before come into contact with each other, and they recognize it as a foreign body within the system, and your immune system kicks in and starts attacking itself. So you have an otherwise healthy eye trying to break down a healthy eye. So it's very serious, very rare. Tony says he is on medication for this to slow it down. Unfortunately, it doesn't just affect the one eye that was with the initial trauma. It does work on both eyes and break down the eyesight in both eyes there. So very serious, very unfortunate. Obviously Tony is now retired. He can't fight anymore because of that, obviously, but he did say that he had a fantastic time in England. Some of you will remember when he came over and he took on Hospodarsky and showed what a really class fighter he is. So everybody, I'm sure you'll all join me in wishing him the best of luck and all the best for his future and whichever he decides to pursue. And so in light of that, Carab Bay stepped up to the mark and took Moscatiello's place in this. So we now had the Kudrov v Carab Bay as the entry fight into the night, and very strange outcome on this one. Kudrov, he hit his forearm. He hit his forearm across the head, across the top of the head of Carab Bay, and you heard him scream out. But he was lying on his back, holding his arm. Andrew Glenn wandered across and just called it off immediately. Within a couple of seconds after he'd called it off, Kudrov was waving his arm around, and it seemed, that he just banged it across the head of Carab Bay, and everything. One overreaction had triggered another overreaction, which that was the fight over. Otherwise, Kudrov looked like he was the better fighter in there for me, and I think it was just a case of one overreaction triggered another, and this didn't go out of the first round, unfortunately. So Carab Bay walked away with the win on that one. And so moving on to heavyweight action, we got Booo taking on Jack Draper there. Now for this one, my predictions, I had Jack Draper as a very short favourite in this. I think given 4-7 on as a chance win, and that was probably quite wide. He is just a far better fighter, but Jack, being out for a long time, Jack is a great fighter, great boxer fighter, really is. We need to see him getting a bit of traction back into his winning ways. He walked away with the win on this one against Booo. He perforated his eardrum in this one, which is nasty. It's difficult to can't continue with that. I've had one. It doesn't feel like a perforated eardrum. It feels like you've cracked the skull on the side of your head. So it's very confusing what is going on. when that happened. So I could completely understand why he wasn't able to continue there. But Jack, yes, back to winning ways. Had an awful season 2023. He was only out once throughout the season. Everything seemed to be going wrong. It was very frustrating. Fighters pulling out on him, fighters changing on him, and even events cancelled. So good to see him back in winning ways. Looking forward to seeing. I think he'll probably be out on the July event. So looking forward to seeing him back out then, and hopefully getting some traction and getting him where he deserves to be. So well done, Jack Draper. Okay, and so we move on to Toby Bendon against Marcus Pond. Now, remember on my review, I'd mentioned that I liked Marcus Pond. I thought he had an interesting character that was immediately obvious from the Prospect series, where he took the knockout over the Welsh lad. On this occasion against Bendon, Toby Bendon, haven't seen Bendon fight for ages. Wasn't sure what we were going to get for Bendon, but in this one, Toby Bendon was by far the better fighter. For me, with Marcus Pond, I mean, for all the martial etiquette, the martial virtue on display from Marcus Pond, I certainly expect a little bit more of a calculated display of his skill set. And really, on this, we got a lot of bombs. There wasn't much there apart from Bonds. He's very enthusiastic. But yes, I was a little bit surprised there wasn't a little bit more to his game. In the bare knuckle game like this, from a decent fighter, you're gonna get picked off when you're throwing wild bombs like that, and you're gonna break your hand. You're gonna have a very, very short career. So for me, in this, Toby Bendon was a far superior fighter. It's interesting, it's entertaining watching Marcus Pond, but if you're taking time in the second round, to signal to the crowd in a fight you're not winning, your head's not in the right space for it, I don't think. And ultimately, he went down in the second. I think it was for the second time. Took a knee there and got back to his feet before to avoid the count. And then walked across to Bendon and dropped to his knee and gave up. Now, I'm presuming that's because he broke his hand from them wild bombs that he was throwing, but I don't know. But for me, in this, Bendon was a superior fighter and deserved the win. So congratulations, Toby Bendon. And so Ben Bonner against Ray Putterill. Now, I'd mentioned in this, I thought that Ray Putterill was really up against it to take the win over Ben Bonner here. And it did seem to be how it played out. Very short. Didn't get out the first minute of the first round. The way it was playing out, you wouldn't think that it was Ben Bonner who had the disadvantage in length. But according to the stats, that is how it was. But Ray Putterill really struggling to get close to Ben. And yes, he left himself exposed in the first minute of the first round. Came in quite open, quite clumsily, took a counter from Ben Bonner, went down. There didn't seem to be anything in it, to be honest. It wasn't like loaded, but he went down. I'm wondering if he dislocated his jaw or something in that. But yes, he went down first minute of the first round, and Ben Bonner got the win. So congratulations to Ben Bonner. Now, Danny McIntosh against Rob Bardman. This one had quite a few people wound up, myself included. Bardman, first to the ring, kept in there by McIntosh for 7 minutes before he made an appearance. I thought it was bang out of order. He apparently didn't have the correct footwear. Now, I don't know if that's he forgot his footwear or he just appeared and wanted to fight in trainers or something and had to borrow some boots. But I can't see how that can happen, for Bardman, for managing to keep his composure in there, and Bardman's coach, I mean, I can imagine, his coach wanted to blow a gasket there. But yes, ultimately, Bardman made easy work of McIntosh and took him out of there in the first with a body shot. And so, yes, I mean, Boardman, he was a very, very short favourite in this. When you see someone is so short, um, and these things happen, such a fundamental thing like forgetting your boots or not having the correct boots on. All sorts of things cross your mind, negative things cross your mind, and you just wonder. But Boardman took McIntosh out in the first there, so well done, Rob Boardman. So moving on to Conor Cook against David Oscar. So for me, I'd gone very firmly with Conor Cook on this. I thought that David Oscar had been exposed in his last outing against Thompson, against Cole Thompson there. Cole Thompson being a good boxer, and we know Conor Cook is a good boxer. But David Oscar has obviously been in the lab, been improving on a few things, and he's finding a home for them bombs now. You're never going to get a technical exhibition from David Oscar. He's just not that kind of fighter. He doesn't have it, but what he does have is power, durability. Now he's come, like I say, he's been in the lab, he's been working on things, does what a good fighter needs to do, learn from the losses. Accuracy is everything in this game, and he's finding a home for them. So I was very impressed. But yes, didn't get out the first. So well done. Really good to see David Oscar, doing what a good fighter does. Learn from his loss, come back and make it count. So congratulations, David Oscar. So Jono Chipchase against Robbie Brown. Now this will be the first time we've seen Robbie Brown fighting at his preferred fight weight, bantamweight, 135. And yes, he doesn't like the easy fights, does he? Last out against Gary Fox, this time out against Jono Chipchase. Now there's a certain level of class about Jono Chipchase. He's a very intelligent fighter, and you just feel. I think in my preview, I'd said that Robbie was really up against it to take a win over Jono Chipchase here, and the odds showed it. Jono was a very, very short favourite in this. And straight from the off, you saw Jono just holding the centre of the ring. It's almost as if he had this figured out before the first bell went. He knew something. Eventually, whatever he was waiting for, it seemed to come along, and he caught Robbie across the corner of the left eye there, which took Robbie down straight away. The eye cinched up immediately. As soon as you see this, if the eye's going to cinch up that quickly. The writing is on the wall, really. Robbie did his best, he got to get to his feet, and he wanted to come out for the second round there. But at this point, if you can't see, that decision is taken out of your hands. He did come out for the second there to start the second, but Alan Jackson could see his eye was completely closed. Pulled him over to the steels for the medical expert, who then made the decision for him and called it off. Heartbreaking for Robbie, heartbreaking for the fans. He didn't want this to go down like this. Thankfully, his eyesight's recovering, and he will be fighting back again at the end of the year. But it was heartbreaking for you. Could see he was heartbroken that the decision was taken out of his hands, and certainly disappointing for the fans there. But congratulations, Jono Chipchase. And so at this point, I'm getting a little bit concerned for the card, actually. Whereas 7 fights in and only 1 fight on the undercard, just squeaking into the second round. Everything else has been over in the first. So you kind of got your fingers crossed. There's going to be quite an exciting conclusion to the card at this point. Finally, we'll move on to the light heavyweight matchup between Matty Hudson and Charles Wasserman. Matty Hudson, another fantastic performance, going through Mason Shaw like he did, now going through Charles Wasserman like this. He's certainly on a bit of a crusade. And not always the most technically sound boxer will walk away with that win, and we keep on seeing that time and time again. There kept on putting that shadow over Charles Wasserman, and Charles Wasserman was really struggling to do anything about it. Eventually in the third, He got a pretty severe cut. Yeah, he had to take a knee at that point. I think he knew that he wasn't gonna be able to continue with the amount of blood that was coming from that. So he stayed down there. But an excellent win for Matty Hudson. He's certainly on a great crusade with those 2 wins that he's just taken since coming to BKFC, and it's very, very interesting to see where he's going to go from now. So, congratulations, Matty Hudson.